and welcome to Go Create, the Opera Imaginarium. I'm Karen Gillingham and I'm an opera director, and what you just saw was a clip from Garsington Opera's production of Tchaikovsky's Eugene, Onegin. Today we are going to explore all things opera. Now, to make a production like the one you just saw, there are a huge team of people, of course, singers and musicians, but a really great team of creatives to make the spectacle you see happen before you. Now, to help us explore that, we've got Rhiannon Newman-Brown, who's a designer, Richard Taylor, composer, and Natasha Kamjani, choreographer. The first thing I'd like to look at, though, is what is opera? So when you hear the word opera, what pops into your head? Well, this is what we thought. Cue music. Now I hope you like that, we are going to meet two real live opera singers now, Josephine Goddard and Jerome Knox. Hi, Josephine.
Hiya. I'm so glad to be here and I cannot wait to discover this opera with you.
Nor can we. And this is Jerome.
I'm raring to go and ready to create.
Fantastic. Now, operas tend to have really complex plots, and Tchaikovsky's Eugene Onegin is no exception to that rule. So what I thought would be a great idea is to challenge one of our singers to tell us the entire story of the opera in 1 minute. Who's up for it?
I think that's definitely a job for Jerome.
Okay, you sure?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, give it a go.
So Jerome's up for the challenge. So I am going to ask Richard and Josie to help us with the minute timer. And 3, 2, 1, plot.
Okay, so we've got two friends, Onegin and Lenski. Lenski introduces Onegin to his fiancée, Olga, and her sister, Tatiana. Tatiana falls madly in love with Onegin and declares her love to him, but he brutally rejects her. Then Onegin goes about flirting with Olga, Lenski's fiancée, and right in front of Lenski, which doesn't go down well, and Lenski's very angry and challenges him to a duel in which Onegin kills his very good friend Lenski. Sad. Next, Onegin goes into hiding for many years and returns to find his love, Tatiana, who he's gone full circle and he's madly in love with her. And unfortunately, Tatiana brutally rejects him.
Wow, he totally did it. I didn't think it was possible, so I am super impressed at that, Jerome. What a great story. And I'm really interested to know what role you play in this story.
I play the role of Eugene Onegin.
So the man himself. And what's the coolest thing about singing this role?
Other than the amazing music, I get to attend 2 pretty spectacular balls, although they don't turn out too well for him.
Oh dear, well, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens to Onegin. And in the meantime, we are all going to go to a dance lesson with Natasha because young people in 19th century Russia would have started dancing right from the start of their schooling to get ready for these wonderful celebratory balls. And we are no exception. Natasha, into the dance lesson.
Welcome to your lesson, everybody. This is for you, for Karen, Jerome and Josie. The first thing we're going to look at is posture. So please, can you roll your shoulders back, draw up through your spine as tall as you can, and if you have a book to hand, you're going to place it on your head and see if you can go for a walk with your book. If you don't have a book, like the guys behind me, you're just going to go for a walk. as gracefully and as proudly as you can. Really pulling up. Keep your faces bright and open because we're going to talk about that next. Did you make it? Did you make it without the book falling? I hope so. Okay. The next thing we're looking at is looks. So people were so excited to go to a ball. You'd have various looks going on. Mischievous looks, happy looks, shocked to see each other, maybe some arguments that have been happening. So just in your room there, wherever you are, practice a few looks. Even if you're on your own, you can see behind me. We're just catching our eyes to each other. So it's really expressive. Now, when you go to a ball, the base step, the foundation step is the waltz. So let's learn that first of all. You might have heard it as quick, quick, slow, quick, quick, slow. Let's try it out. You're going to take one long step, followed by 2 short steps. Quick, quick. So you're taking a long one and 2 short ones. Let's have a go at that, guys. So anywhere around your room, quick, quick, slow, quick, quick. So the next step I'm going to teach you is just a lean out. You're just going to glide out. Let's all go this way. And you're going to glide back in. And then you're going to glide out. And we're going to do 4 of those in our warm-up routine, which is coming along. The next thing we're going to do is a figure of 8. So I want you to imagine you've put your feet in some paint. You're in the center of your figure of 8. So you're going to draw a big curve around that way, coming back through center. And then a big curve around that way and coming back through center. We're going to go to the right first, but I don't really mind which way you go. Put your hands like this because it will just help guide you. And I'm going to take 4 waltzes to get round straight away with Richard. Ready? And 1, 2, 3. You should be back to center. 4. Try the other way. 1. Curving. 2. Well done, guys. 3 and 4. And at the end of that, you're going to find yourself facing one side. I don't mind which side, we're all going to choose this side for now. And imagine you've got a partner again, shoulders are back, really poised, really tall, and you're going to head forward for 6 steps, then you're going to give me a stamp, and a knees in and out. You ready to try that? And we're going to go back as well, so we'll just keep this bit going. Ready? And 1, 2, 3, 4, shoulders, 5, 6, we're going stamp, in, out, we're going back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Give me a stamp in, out. And again, it doesn't matter which foot you're stamping in and out, or if you've stamped on the wrong count at all. We're just learning it. This is just the warm-up. Then I'm going to take you through it a second time. And the only change is going to be when you take the glide out, you're going to cross the leg in and do a tight little spin out of it. And you're going to glide out the other way and then try spinning in. That's lovely. Richard, I think we're ready, and we've got to do the bow and the curtsy at the very top. You can choose whichever one you want to do. Richard, ready? Go. Waltzing around your space for 8. Anywhere you like, up 3 arms. Good, so it's slow, quick, quick. Coming back to your center with the reaches away. Make it a glide on a slight diagonal with those arms. Gliding. You're looking good, guys. Gliding, lovely. The next thing you've got is your figure of 8. So base yourself forward. Back into that waltz step. Any leg will do. Back to your centre. Go the other way. 1, 2. Facing the side for our steps. We've got 6. 1, 2. You can be holding a partner, pretending to if you want to. 4, 5. I haven't done it for the stage. 6. You've got your step. In, out. Travelling back and keep those looks going, looking around the ballroom. You never know whose eye you might catch. We've got 1 more. Here comes your step. This time we're going to go forward and back with the waltz. Travelling forward towards the camera. And now travel backwards for me. And on the reaches away, we've got the spin. Ready? Reach away, spin it in. Gliding round. How are you getting on there? And again. Good, spin it in. And now we're going to do a figure of 8 the other way. 1. Use your hands if you need to see that shape. Well done. Coming round. And we're going to do our partner bit with the stamps the other side. So we're going to try this way. 1, 2, shoulders back. Good. 5, we've got 1 more. 6, your stamp. In, out, taking it back. Shoulders back again. Really tall. 3, 4. Well done, my team here are looking great. We've got our stamp. We're going to do a spin around any way you like and bow or curtsy. Go the other way, spin around, bow or curtsy, and you're just going to give a glance around the room.
This is Peter Ilyich Tchaikovsky. He is one of the most famous composers of all time, but he was a complicated yet fascinating man. So Richard, what can you tell us about him?
Well, he was complicated and fascinating, and I think that's because he felt everything so deeply. He was all about the feels, as they say, and his music is driven by emotion. And I think if you could only have one composer in your life, it's got to be Tchaikovsky, because there's going to be a piece of music for whatever you feel at the time. If you're feeling sad, there's this. From Swan Lake. Fantastic, a beautiful ballet. If you're feeling a bit cheeky, are you ever feeling cheeky, Karen? You might want a bit of this. Fantastic, from the Nutcracker. The Nutcracker, which is the world's most performed ballet, he didn't really think was going to be that good. He thought it was a little bit shallow. What did he know? He's only Tchaikovsky, right? What about if you want to feel a little bit strong and energetic? You might, oh, I think we need some help for this. Thank you. You might want this.
Okay, what was that?
They were cannons, obviously.
Right, obviously, yeah. Okay, I'll calm down now.
So Tchaikovsky was asked to write a piece of music to commemorate the defeat of Napoleon in 1812, and he was told that he could make it as just loud and noisy as he wanted. He didn't really like it, but thought, well, they said loud and noisy, I'm going to put cannons in it. That's what they were. And it's one of the most performed orchestral pieces in the world these days. He'd write a piece of music he was really proud of, and the public would hate it, until eventually they came round. It was all flip sides. For every great happiness, there was a great despair.
Thank you so much, Richard. That was just extraordinary to hear all about Tchaikovsky, who wrote symphonies, ballets, and overtures. But interestingly, the thing he wanted to be most famous for were his operas. Now, we're going to go backstage to meet Tatiana, the heroine of our story. So follow me. Hi, Josephine.
Hi.
So I'm really interested to know what you need to know about Tatiana in order to be able to play her.
Well, she's absolutely obsessed with books. So she loved reading romantic novels, especially the ones by Samuel Richardson, which were actually in English. Pushkin, who's the author who wrote the original story the opera is based on, called her a novelist's creation. So that's her main thing. Her love is books.
Fantastic. So in order to play a role like this, you actually have to do quite a lot of research and find out an awful lot about this person.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You want to get right inside the character, so you need to know what they're thinking. So you try and find as much out about them as you possibly can. Yeah.
So you've had to read quite a lot of books
Oh, yeah.
yourself to do that research.
Exactly.
And you mentioned that Tatiana does a lot of reading as well, which of course girls in 19th century Russia were absolutely not supposed to do. They were supposed to be keeping books on your head, like Natasha told us, to be able to walk properly. So what I'd like to know is what you love about playing this role.
Well, this role is absolutely amazing. The singing, the music is gorgeous. But if I'm honest, the real reason I'm an opera singer? Dressing up. The costumes are my favourite thing.
And I think jeans and jumpers for this period of time would not quite be right. So I'm going to bring in our wonderful designer, Rhiannon, to help us transform Josie here.
Yes, well, you are right, Karen. So this story is set in 1820, and jeans and jumpers absolutely did not exist at that time. And what girls would wear, and ladies would wear, were very long dresses. And what's fascinating is they would wear a different type of dress for nearly every occasion. So they'd wear a dress just called a morning dress, that they'd wear up until the hour about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Then if they went out during that time, they would change into a visiting dress or a walking dress or a riding dress, all different types of clothes. And then in the evenings, depending on what they were doing, what their social engagement was, they would have all sorts of different types of dresses. So if you had a busy diary, you could be changing your clothes a lot during the course of one day. But we meet Tatiana, and she is wearing a morning dress. And this era of clothing has some very, very distinctive features, and I am going to tell you what they are by doing a little costume drawing. So the first thing is they would have a very long, flat-fronted skirt. And they would also have a very, very high waistband. So I'm drawing that here. And hopefully as this costume emerges, you can see that she has also got very puffy sleeves. And there's her face, like that. So she's got these lovely puffy sleeves, which were a really distinctive feature. This high waistband, which became known as then Empire Line. They'd either have sleeves or no sleeves, depending on whether it was a ball gown or a day dress. And then this very long, flat-fronted skirt. So those are the key features. So it's brilliant. It's a bit like a code, because when you look at maybe a painting or a sculpture, you can tell what era the character is because of the clothes they're wearing and some of these features.
Beautiful. What a lovely costume design there. But how are you going to transform Josie here into that?
Well, we're going to have a bit of fun. So we're going to do a fashion hack. And I have been out into the high street, and I have been looking specifically for bits of clothing from our current high street and their shops that have these features we were talking about. And so we're going to put those together and transform Josie.
So it's time for the Go Create costume hack with a little bit of video magic. Take the centre, Josie. Wow, Josie, you look completely transformed. I'm going to refer to you as Tatiana from now on, if that's okay, and I will leave you to your reading. So now time to go back to Jerome, who has transformed into Eugene Onegin. What a great costume. From now on, I am going to refer to you as Onegin, as you're in character. So Onegin, how are you feeling down here in the countryside?
It's okay. I mean, I like seeing my friend Lenski. He lives in a big country house over there, quite near my big estate. But it's not like the city. I mean, there's just so little to do around here. It's a bit rural, I'd say. Much prefer the city.
Fantastic. Now, you might remember earlier in the plot challenge that Onegin spends time with Lenski, who has a fiancée called Olga. And one day he's visiting her and he takes his friend Onegin with him. And Onegin walks out into the garden with Olga's sister, Tatiana. So let's see what happens when they first meet.
I have to say, I don't know how you stand it here. It seems so quiet and dull. What do you find here to amuse you? So far from life, so far from entertainment. Aren't you bored here?
Life I find in reading.
Reading, it's true one gains so much from reading, for mind and heart, but there is more to life than simply reading.
I daydream as I wander through the garden.
Please tell me what you dream about.
I dream of all and nothing. I always have since I was young.
To dream is such a gift, and yet be careful. Don't dream your pretty life away.
What a beautiful duet. And there's some really interesting things going on in the music, aren't there, Richard?
Oh, there are. This is, I think, where Tchaikovsky shows himself as a brilliant dramatist, because all the way through the music you hear, not only in this duet that you just heard, but all the way through the score, there's this little thing. It keeps falling away. And it's that, to me, it's that suggestion of love, falling in love is such a gamble. It's such a tricky thing, and you could hold it and it's like losing the soap at the bottom of the bath. It slips out of your fingers and trickles away.
Such gorgeous music that Tchaikovsky wrote. Now, I think we ought to go to Tatiana here and ask her. So, Tatiana, I want to know, now that you've met Onegin, I'm dying to know how you feel about him.
I'm in love with him. He's gorgeous. He's the best man I've ever met in my life, and I've never met anyone like him, and I'm totally in love.
Okay, so what are you going to do?
I'm going to write him a letter and tell him exactly how I feel about him.
She's going to write him a letter and tell him exactly how she feels about him. Is that the right thing to do? Would you do that? Have a think. What should she do? And I'm going to pass now to Richard, because she decides to write this letter. And I think we should probably sing some of the beautiful things that she writes to him and bring Natasha in to help us with the movement.
Yes, thanks, Tash. Well, this is one of the most famous and one of the most beautiful tunes in all of opera. And it's a solo, it's an aria for Tatiana. But I think, why not? Let's get our audience, everybody watching, they should be able to sing a little bit of this as well. And what Tchaikovsky does in the music, he gets the orchestra to play a kind of repeat line. So Tatiana sings a line. Are you from heaven sent to guard me? And then the orchestra plays this kind of comment line, which is this. So we thought, hey, let's put the same words as Tatiana just sang to that comment line, and that means we can sing it at home. So let's learn the first one. So it goes, are you from heaven sent to guard me? Thanks, Tash. So you got the words there. Let's give it a go. So I'll sing you a little bit of Tatiana, not as well as you will hear Tatiana sing it. Are you from heaven sent to, here you go. Are you from heaven sent to guard me? Beautiful. Same tune, nearly, apart from we go a little lower at the end. Are you to woo me, then discard me? Just try that. Are you to woo, and go. Are you to woo me, then discard me? Beautiful. And then, how can I know what lies in store? Just try that tune again. How can I know? And one. How can I know what lies in store? Very gorgeous. Same tune, but different words. This one goes, how will I know if fate is scheming? Just try that. Off you go. How will I know if fate is scheming? Very nice. Same tune, different words. How should I know what best to do? The difference is, to the last time, this goes straight on into the last line. Am I a foolish girl who's dreaming? And you're going to sing that with Tatiana. So let's do that last one again. Am I a foolish? It goes like this. Am I a foolish girl who's dreaming? Very good. Just to make sure, because that last line will catch you out, always catches me out. Let's go back to how should I know what best to do? So Tatiana has sung, how should I know what best to, here you go. How should I know what best to do? Am I a foolish girl who's dreaming? Fantastic. Okay, Tash? Brilliant.
Thank you, Richard. Now we have learnt that part of the letter song, we're now going to stage it. And you would ordinarily work with a director to stage a song. So I am the director, and we're going to stage it with Josie. So hi, Josie, if you could stand up for me. So she is feeling super, super agitated and stressed at the beginning of this, and she really, really doesn't know what she's going to do. So we have to make a decision about where she moves on this beautiful, beautiful stage here. So I think she'd probably be doing quite a lot of pacing. If you could just have a bit of a go for me at just randomly pacing around, looking agitated. Wonderful. I'm going to stop you there. So we have to decide if we like that pacing. And what I'm going to show you is I'm going to make a decision about it. I'll ask her. So Josie, what I'd like you to do is pick 2 places to walk to. So let's do, number 1 is by the wall. Yeah. There is no stopping me, I'm burning there. My heart is raging fire, I'm yearning. Second walk. And let's bring you into the piano to support yourself. So let's see that walk into the piano. And then from there, I'm going to bring her forward to a downstage centre position. And in that position, I'm going to root her there for that moment. So when you watch this a little bit later, you'll see that decisions that you make in travelling patterns can really change the way something's played. So now she makes a decision to actually write the letter. So your letter we've placed on the chair over there, and we've decided to position the chair over there. So she picks up her book, and you'll notice she's writing with a quill, and starts writing the letter. Now, let's have a little go at you writing this letter. Are you from heaven sent to guard me, on that chair? And then I want you to try loads of different writing positions in this space. Just pick anywhere you think, the door, the floor, the piano, the wall. Can we have at least 5? So you'll see it's really difficult when you're wearing a 19th century dress to get up and down as easily as it would be if you were in your jeans and your trainers. So you'll see she got a bit caught up there. Lovely. So writing against a wall. Oh, very nice. You can tell she's super, super anxious. I love that, but I'm going to make a really quick decision. You might make different decisions. My decision is that you're going to start on the chair. She's going to write some of the letter, like we said. She'll think it, you'll hear the words, and then she'll write it. And then I'm going to ask you if you could go to the floor after you've sung. How can I know what lays in store? Super anxious. I love the way you were lying on the floor. She writes lots of the letter from there. And that's the decision that I'm going to make. You might make very, very different decisions. So when you watch the performance of this aria in a little while, really think about the decisions you've made and observe the ones that I've made. Now, this piece is incredibly long. It's 17 whole minutes. Epic. Richard, why did Tchaikovsky write it quite as long as that?
Well, I already said Tchaikovsky was a really clever musical dramatist. He was very at home in the theatre. And this is another example. This aria has got to last the whole night. Tatiana is so wound up that she spends the whole night writing this letter and thinking about it, and is it the right thing to do, is it the wrong thing to do? And so obviously you can't just cover a whole night of action in 5 minutes. It is a brilliant piece. It's one of the most fantastic scenes in all of opera. Please go and listen to it. We've done a very nifty little cut or two, haven't we? So Josie, you're not going to be singing for 17 minutes, but it's still very beautiful. Listen to the whole thing.
We're now going to hear the letter scene, and don't forget to come in as she's writing the letter with the sections that Richard has taught you. Enjoy.
My very soul.
Now, I want to talk about what Tatiana was writing with, because this might help you with your own letters. She was writing with a quill. So let's go backstage to Rhiannon and find out a bit more about the quill.
Thank you, Karen. So a moment ago, we saw Tatiana writing her love letter in the letter scene. And what I'm going to show you now is how to make yourself a prop quill to write a letter with. And what you're going to need is some decorative paper. This could be maybe some scraps of wrapping paper you've got. I'm going to use this lovely kind of marbled, almost feathery looking paper. You're going to need some scissors. Now, just be very careful with scissors. I've got some quite big ones here, but actually this is quite a delicate task, so you could use much smaller scissors so you can be nice and careful. You're going to need a biro, and we're going to take this biro apart, so it doesn't have to be anything special. So there's a biro. I've got some trusty double-sided tape, and I've also got some decorative tape. Now, this is a nice silver tape, but you might have something that's Christmassy or anything that's maybe even just a plain colour tape will do the job. Great. So the first thing we want to do is, if you take your biro and you want to get rid of the lid and you want to pull the little infill bit that's got the nib and the ink in it, that's the bit you want. So discard the other bit. And the first thing you're going to do is take just a very small bit of your decorative tape and you want to line it up quite close to the nib, and we're going to just roll it round nice and tightly round the bottom of that bit of biro so that the nib is still clear and usable. So that's the bit that you're going to hold for when you're writing, and then this bit is where we're going to put our beautiful feather. So onto the feather, take your decorative paper and you're going to draw a lovely feather shape. Perhaps you could even go and find a feather outside and then you can trace around it. And you're going to need two feathery shapes. So if you draw it once but then fold it over, you'll be able to just cut it once but get two shapes that are the same. So just like that, I folded it over and now I am cutting out my feather shape really carefully with my scissors, just like that. So that will give you two feathery pieces of paper, the same shape and size. Now you want to turn them over so that their pretty decorative side is on your table. And then you want to take some of your double-sided tape. And being very careful, because mine is very sticky, so you don't want to try and reposition it because you won't be able to. Put your tape right down the middle of both pieces of your feather, just like that. There we go. And then before you take the paper side off, just trim that on both of your feathers so that you haven't got any excess. So just do that all the way around both of your feather pieces of paper. Now I'm going to just move over to ones I did earlier on. Once you've trimmed them, you can see I've trimmed them here, you want to peel off the paper bit of the double-sided tape. And once you've done that, be very careful because it will want to stick to everything. So if you take both of those bits of paper off, now you want to take your biro that you've done your nice bit of tape around the bottom of, and you want to line it up, and you want to get it so that your decorative tape is lined up with the very bottom part of your piece of paper shape, so that you've still got room to hold your pen without the feather being in the way. Once you've put it in place, get your second feather and you're going to line it up and sandwich that biro in between the two pieces of paper. And you can give it a little bit of a push down, make sure it's nice and secure. So you can see this is already very much taking the shape of a quill, but there's one last little detail we can do. So you may need to just trim off if your pieces of paper aren't quite lined up, you might want to just trim them. And then to give your feather that lovely feathery movement, very carefully you want to just make a number of little slits all the way down like that to give that very feathery movement like that. And you can use the angle here at the bottom will just help you get the angle of those feathery bits right. So if you do that on both sides, then you just run your hand along it just to separate it out and give it a little bit of that natural kind of organic feathery movement. And I've got one here that I've made in gold and another one from earlier on. So you can make as many as you like in lots of different papers if you've got lots of different ones, and then you can enjoy writing your very own letters, whether they're letters of love or letters to a friend. Now, Karen is about to give Tatiana's letter to Onegin. Let's see what happens next.
Thank you, Rhiannon. I've got the letter in my hand and I'm here on Onegin's breezy country estate to deliver Tatiana's letter. A letter from Tatiana.
Thank you. I offer you my heart forever.
Absolutely, and I think we better go to Tatiana because I know she's quite keen to know what your reaction is. So
Cool.
Follow me. Save your love for someone better. Cutting. Tatiana is in absolute despair. I have no idea what's going to happen next. So I think we all need to get together for episode 2 to find out. And in the meantime, we're going to waltz our way out. Goodbye from all of us.